This is a short portion of the great passion story that's found in the 18th and 19th chapters of the Gospel of St. John. The shorter reading begins at the 33rd verse of chapter 18. Then Pilate entered the headquarters, summoned Jesus, and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "Do you ask this on your own, or did others tell you about me?" Pilate replied, "I'm not a Jew, am I? Your own nation and the chief priests have handed you over to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not from this world. If my kingdom were from this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not from here." Pilate asked him, "So, you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. For this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice." Pilate asked him, "What is truth?" After he had said this, he went out to the Jews again and told them, "I find no case against him, but you have a custom that I release someone for you at the Passover. Do you want me to release for you the king of the Jews?" They shouted in reply, "Not this man, but Barabbas." Now Barabbas was a bandit. Then Pilate took Jesus and had him flogged, and the soldiers wove a crown of thorns and put it on his head, and they dressed him in a purple robe. They kept coming up to him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews," and striking him on the face. The Gospel of the Lord. The one great lie of this world has two faces. One face of the great lie of this world is that we as human beings have the wisdom to solve all the problems of humanity, including the problem of life and death. And the other face of the great lie of this world is that we have enough goodness within us to make us worthy and deserving of God's love. The past weeks and months of this coronavirus pandemic, these past weeks and months have been humbling, and it has revealed the hollowness of human wisdom. Even when an effective drug or reliable vaccine is finally developed, it will come in the wake of months of missed opportunities, selfish hoarding, unnecessary social risks, recriminations and accusations, and blaming and falsehoods. This virus has also brought out both the best and the worst in people, and while an effective drug or vaccine will save lives, they will not undo the very messy way that humanity at every place has sometimes treated one another during these months. Not only the virus, but human experience reminds us that while there are sterling examples of selflessness serving, and examples of human goodness, we still cannot do enough to reach some kind of holy perfection. Now, don't get me wrong, the daily selfless small acts of neighbors and the huge public and even heroic acts of medical folks on the front lines of care, they deserve our thanks. But somehow, still, holiness will ultimately elude us because we are human. We are not God. The gospel for Good Friday reminds us that we do not have the wisdom and we do not have sufficient goodness within us to overcome the world's great lie. Poor Pilate. He is a government official trying to get to the bottom of the truth. Pilate wants an answer. Are you the king of the Jews? For Pilate, that's a simple question that should have a simple answer, either a yes or a no. The answer Pilate seeks would be a fact that he could write down on a Post-it note. The answer that Pilate asked for could be recorded in some kind of a ledger. The answer that Pilate asks would pin down yet another bit of knowledge so that historians could look back and say that, see, this obscure Jesus of Nazareth on such and such a date said that he was not the King of the Jews, or rather, this Jesus of Nazareth said that he was the King of the Jews. And life would go on, undisturbed as usual. But the truth of Jesus was not a simple fact, or an answer, or a matter of record for human life to go on undisturbed thereafter by an apparent loser, wannabe king named Jesus from Galilee. Instead, truth was and is a person, not a fact, not something that fits on a post-it, not a snippet of information. The truth that Pilate sought was standing right there before him in the very person of Jesus, as the truth of God in the flesh, acclaimed by the Gospel of John that was proclaimed in the very beginning of the story, that the Word that created the world became flesh and lived among us, and that Word was full of grace and truth. And God, taking on flesh to live among us, forever disturbed and changed the very world that the truth had made. Instead of Pilate's question, what is truth? The claim of the Christian faith is that the answer is not what, but who. In his ministry, Jesus declared, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And yet the world persists in the great lie that human wisdom and human goodness will somehow, in the end, carry the day. So instead, from outside the world, Jesus came into it to be born into this place, to be the truth in the flesh for a world and for humanity that cannot find the truth or save itself. And with the cross, we remember that God would rather die. God would rather die than to submit to the lie of human wisdom and human goodness. So instead, God in the cross, God has exposed the folly of human wisdom and goodness. And when everything seems lost, also from the outside of our world, from outside of our experience and our plans, from outside will come in 3 days a gift, the totally undeserved and free gift of the way, the truth, and the life, the one who will break down the confines of cold stone and bring life abundant even over death. Amen.